and welcome. Tonight, NUPENG suspends nationwide strike against Dangote refinery after talks with government representatives. Finance Minister Wale Edun calms fears over proposed fuel tax. There's no immediate plan for implementation. Nigeria's Senate tells Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan she cannot resume until judicial process is concluded. And Hamas says its leaders survived Israeli strike in Doha, but confirms deaths of senior members.
On business news tonight, Nigeria's central bank unveils plans to grow the country's diaspora reserve to $1 billion next year.
And sports news tonight, the Super Eagles dropped crucial 3 points in South Africa, leaving Nigeria's 2026 World Cup hopes hanging by a thread.
And from Abuja, the nation's capital, National Assembly summons Transport Minister over Abuja-Kaduna train derailment.
The Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has suspended its strike, which was triggered by a dispute between its members and the management of the Dangote refinery. Well, this decision followed a closed-door meeting at the Department of State Services, the DSS headquarters, attended by representatives of both parties, along with the Minister of Finance. In a joint statement signed by the representative of Dangote Group, Otumba Jibrin, as well as the President and General Secretary of NUPENG, the union announced that the strike was suspended after the refinery's management agreed to respect workers' rights to unionize. Effort to resolve the impasse on Monday by the Minister of Labour and Employment had earlier ended in deadlock. However, a joint intervention by the Finance Minister, the DSS, and the Labour Minister ultimately led to this breakthrough. While the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, has clarified that there are no immediate plans to implement the proposed 5% tax on petroleum products, speaking to reporters in Abuja, the minister explains that while the policy is provided for under the 5 tax administration and is scheduled to take effect from January the 1st, 2026, its implementation will not proceed after consultations with stakeholders.
The tax reform bills and the Tax Act will not become operational until 2026, January 1, 2026. And the 5% fuel surcharge, which is mentioned therein, will not automatically come into effect. There's even a process. Before any such charge can come into effect, it requires a commencement order from the Honourable Minister of Finance. And this indeed must be published in a gazette. So it's not automatic that we wake up on January 1 and there's a new tax and it's going to be levied. No, there's a whole formal process involved. And as of today, no order has been issued, none is being prepared, and there is no plan. There's no immediate plan to implement any surcharge.
Meanwhile, the Vice President Kashim Shettima is asking African countries to prioritize investment in human capital development as a key driver of the continent's growth. He made the call while speaking at the opening session of the 66th Annual Conference of the Nigerian Economic Society in Abuja. During that event, the society's leadership emphasized the need to institutionalize a long-term national development plan to guide government policy formulation. Our State House correspondent, Empress Simon, reports.
The 66th Annual Conference of the Nigerian Economic Society brings together professional economists from both the public and private sectors, with Vice President Kashim Shettima in attendance. In a changing economic landscape, the need to rethink Africa's development for economic transformation and social inclusion is what the conference seeks to achieve.
Professor Adiola Adenikinju for his welcome address.
It also provides an opportunity for the leadership of the Nigeria Economic Society to make some requests.
We appeal to the Tinubu government to reinstate the president of the Nigeria Economic Society as a member of the economic management team.
Former Minister of National Planning, Mr. Shamsuddin Usman, believes Nigeria needs a long-term national plan that will guide policy formulation and ensure continuity in governance.
Why do we keep flip-flopping from one policy to another? And we don't have, like the Chinese, like the Indians, like the Malaysians, and so on, a plan that is institutionalized, that everybody accepts, and all happens is government comes, modifies it, but it is the same plan.
However, the Minister of Budget and National Planning says the current government is implementing the Nigeria Agenda 2050, initiated in 2020.
The Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu-led government have been very careful not to continue with the old practice of discarding what is there. The 2050 Perspective Plan Agenda 50 is still what we have for the country.
Before his remarks, Vice President Kashim Shettima is inducted into the fellowship of the Nigerian Economic Society.
It is about wisdom, humility, and most importantly, service to humanity. Please, let's applaud this moment. Let's applaud this moment.
The Vice President says Africa's population offers an asset for development.
Africa must embrace structural transformation that embeds its human capital and reverse unemployment. Poverty must be confronted head-on for the promise of this continent to be realized in the lives of our people.
He also speaks about President Bola Tinubu's strategic reform policies and the efficiency of the president's cabinet.
The roads may have been bumpy, but our steps are firm. Consistent quarterly GDP growth, improved fiscal space, growth in external reserves, decline in inflation, stabilized exchange rates, and steady expansion of our infrastructure stock are gradually restoring investor confidence in Nigeria's economy. This is what happens when economies are not sidelined. Economists are very active in this business of governance.
The conference is expected to dig deep into policy and governance to support Africa's sustainable development and economic growth. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
The standoff over Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan's suspension is far from being over, as the National Assembly has rejected her request to resume duties, despite her claim that the 6-month disciplinary period has elapsed. The Kogi Central lawmaker, in a letter to the Senate leadership dated September the 4th, argued that her suspension, which began in March, had legally ended in September. She maintains that the suspension was definite and not indefinite, and that her rights and privileges as a senator had been fully restored by law. Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan further contended that ongoing appeals, including one filed by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, should not hinder her return. She warns that barring her from the National Assembly amounts to a violation of her constitutional rights and denies her constituents representation. However, acting clerk on the National Assembly, Dr. Yahya Danzaria, in a written response, disagreed with this, insisting the matter remains sub judice. He explains that until the Court of Appeal delivers its ruling, no step will be taken to reinstate her. The senator was suspended in March this year following a heated exchange with Senate President Akpabio during plenary. While a federal high court ruling in July described parts of her suspension as excessive, it upheld the Senate's authority to discipline its members, and both sides have since filed appeals. Meanwhile, counsel to Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan has faulted the Senate's decision to bar her from resuming legislative duties. In an exclusive interview with Channels Television, Senator Akpoti-Uduaghan's lawyer, Ehioje West Dahosa, who's a senior advocate of Nigeria, described her 6-month suspension as unconstitutional. He argues that the Senate lacks the legal authority to suspend a lawmaker for such a period. insisting that the action contravenes the provisions of the Constitution.
Recommendation of a standing committee of the same was clear. He said 6 months. 6 months means 6 calendar months. And in any case, I dare say, with the greatest respect, there is nothing like a legislative month. We have legislative days. And that's why you find the rules talk about not more than 14 legislative days. And that's why you find that the Constitution talks about the Senate must sit for X number of days. We count in days, not in months. So where did they get the latitude to suspend her in months? It's part of the entire decline of the polity that we find ourselves in this country. Look, the Senate is not new. It's been in the Fourth Republic. It's been there since 1999. You've had the likes of Kadibo and Werem, Anyim, and David Mark. It's not the first leadership of the Senate. So I don't understand how senators can sit down and not help the institution to grow. How would you not be able to tell yourselves that what we are about to do is excessive and that we will not allow this to happen? Let's fall within the ambit of the law.
The Imo State Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, has passed a vote of confidence on Governor Hope Uzodimma, praising what it describes as monumental projects and far-reaching transformational initiatives executed in the state over the past 5 years. Speaking during the inspection tour of the projects across the state, APC State Chairman McDonald Ebere commended the governor's performance, expressing pride in his achievements. Our correspondent, Eitokwa Kuteyi, reports.
It's a tour of major ongoing and completed projects initiated by the Uzodimma-led administration in Imo State by members of the Working Committee of the All Progressives Congress, led by the chairman, McDonald Ebere.
From the timber market all the way to Nase.
The team moves through a series of landmark projects from the dualized Owerri-Umbise-Umaya Road, the reconstructed MCC Toronto Road, expansive Owerri-Olu and Owerri-Okigwe highways, state-of-the-art Imo Land Information Center, amongst others. At the Ekemegboa Toronto Junction, where one of the major road projects has been completed, the APC chairman dismisses claims that movement remains restricted on Mondays due to the sit-at-home order.
You can see security men everywhere. Army, police, governor provided security. You can see people trading. They said on Mondays that there's no movement that is sit-at-home. But it is not true. Look at markets. Everywhere is on. Security is doing their work. And Igbo people are happy.
Following the inspection tour, the party officials reconvened at the APC Secretariat, where they highlighted other key achievements of the administration. Among them is the approval of a new minimum wage of $104,000 for Imo workers.
The governor's compassion for workers was evident in his recent approval of a minimum wage of 104,000 naira for Imo State workers. At a time when inflation erodes income and many workers across Nigeria are struggling, Imo stands tall as a state where labor is rewarded with fairness and dignity.
In recognition of these strides, the committee unanimously passed a vote of confidence in Governor Uzodimma, a motion that was seconded by the State Organizing Secretary, Ikechukwu Ume.
Having seen all this, I'm moving a vote of confidence on our governor that he has done well for the people of Imo State. I so move.
Having been part of State Working Committee for the past 4 years, I, Ikechukwu Sondume, the State Organizing Secretary of Imo APC, supports the vote of confidence and second it completely as duly moved by the chairman of our party in the state.
On his mandate we shall stand.
With this declaration, the APC leadership in Imo State has sent a clear message of solidarity and endorsement, underscoring Governor Uzodimma's position as a leader whose vision and performance continue to inspire confidence among party members and citizens alike. Eitokwa Kuteyi, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, National Assembly summons Transport Minister over Abuja-Kaduna train derailment. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. NUPENG suspends nationwide strike against Dangote refinery after talks with government representatives. Finance Minister Wale Edun calms fears over proposed fuel tax, says no immediate plan for implementation. Nigeria's Senate tells Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan she cannot resume until the judicial process is concluded. And Hamas says its leader survived Israeli strike in Doha, but confirms deaths of senior members. But for more on the news at 10, we head over to our Abuja studios where Gloria Omezuke is standing by to give us more stories. Over to you, Gloria.
Well, thank you, Anne. You're here in Abuja. We begin with the House of Representatives Committee on Land Transport has given the Minister of Transportation, Saidu Alkali, 48 hours to appear before it over the recent derailment of an Abuja-Kaduna train carrying 618 passengers. The ultimatum follows the minister's failure to honor an earlier invitation from the committee. The committee, which is probing the derailment that occurred 2 weeks ago, described the minister's absence as unacceptable.
To attend an all-important engagement to account to Nigerians on the derailment between Abuja-Kaduna Rail. We demand the presence of the Honorable Minister within 48 hours to appear before this Honorable House. Thank you. On Thursday.
The federal government is assuring Nigerians that the administration of President Bola Tinubu is committed to promoting sustainable energy solutions to power and medical facilities across the country. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, gave the assurance while representing the President at the first National Stakeholders Dialogue on Power in the Health Sector, which took place in Abuja. Mr. Akume stated that the government is determined to pursue innovative solutions to address the sector's challenges with practical, particular emphasis on creating a better operating environment for hospitals, clinics and research institutions. Our correspondent Victoria Lonjom reports.
Reliable electricity is essential for effective healthcare delivery as it supports various critical functions within healthcare facilities. For years, Nigeria's health system has been underpowered. A survey conducted by Sustainable Energy for All shows that 40% of functional primary healthcare facilities in Nigeria do not have access to electricity, with majority of the remaining 60% receiving not more than 10 hours of daily power supply from various sources. The situation is not different in the private sector, with 30% of respondents to a survey conducted in April 2025 by the Healthcare Federation of Nigeria stating that they spend between 5 to 20 million naira on electricity monthly.
Thank you very much.
Recognizing this challenge, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the Ministry of Power, convened this first National Stakeholders Dialogue to collaboratively develop sustainable solutions to address power challenges in Nigeria's health sector.
The introduction of renewable energy will also achieve some level of cost dilution. Between 7 a.m. in the morning till 7 p.m. in the evening, our institutions should be on solar source of energy. There is no state in Nigeria today that is not guaranteed minimum of 8 hours of sunlight. We have some extreme whereby we have 12 hours of sunlight. What do you need again? Till today, our grid source of power are still two, hydro and thermal.
We have the privilege of having amazing health workers, a large country, vast footprint of human resources, financing that is being organized, the infrastructure, and if we can get the power and internet connectivity and digital elements, I think we will see major escalation in our ability to deliver services for our country, for our sub-region, and indeed for parts of our continent.
The time has come for us to jointly take stock and put all hands on deck to address the access and quality limiting effects of energy poverty in our health sector, and also relieve our hospitals of the burden of prohibitive cost of power supply, which costs hundreds of millions of naira monthly.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. George Akume, who represented President Bola Tinubu at the event, reaffirmed the government's commitment to overhauling Nigeria's health sector.
This national dialogue must not be a mere talk shop. It must yield actionable outcomes, including the review and alignment of national and subnational policies on energy access in the health sector.
This two-day dialogue is expected to lay the foundation for sustainable power supply in Nigeria's health system, advancing the nation's journey towards universal health coverage. From Abuja, Victoria Longjun, Channels Television News.
Still in the health sector, about 500 women from the 20 local government areas of Ogun State are taking part in a free breast and cervical cancer screening and advocacy program organized by Mrs. Olufunsho Amosun, wife of the former governor of the state. Speaking during the flag-off ceremony in Abuja, the state capital, in Abeokuta, the state capital, Mrs. Amosun explained that the initiative is part of her efforts to reduce mortality rates from breast and cervical cancer among women in the state.
The telemedicine hall of the Federal Medical Center, Abeokuta, venue of the screening and advocacy program, is filled to capacity, with about 500 beneficiaries presenting themselves for cervical and breast cancer screening. The 14th edition of a screening and advocacy program organized by the Uplift Development Foundation. The hall comes alive as the chief promoter of the foundation, Mrs. Olufunsho Amosun, steps in. As the program officially commences, medical experts touch on some of the predisposing factors for breast and cervical cancer.
The signs that we see include abnormal uterine bleeding, that is, a woman is bleeding without menstruating, or she's bleeding after sex, or she's just bleeding on her own in between her menstruation. Then we could have abnormal foul-smelling vaginal discharge.
Every cancer now I can announce is curable. It's no more a death sentence. For goodness sake, take advantage of it. Go for the screening and look for treatments are available now for nearly all forms of cancer. The drugs are available now.
The chief promoter of the Uplift Development Foundation, Mrs. Olufunsho Amosun, looks back on the journey so far and how about 10,000 women have benefited in the last 14 years from the initiative. She reiterates the readiness of the foundation to not just offer screenings, but also free treatment for those who need it.
Every single person who wants to be screened, and we should all be screened, because it's meant to be, at the very worst, an annual exercise. If you'd like to be screened, provision has been made for cervical and breast screening today at no cost whatsoever to you today. If we find that there are lumps today, registration took place before the screening, so we will contact the person and notify them when the lumpectomies will take place and where the lumpectomies will take place. And those two will be at no charge to you because His Excellency Senator Ibikuli Amosun, FCA, will vote that bill.
According to the World Health Organization's 2023 global cancer data, Nigeria recorded an estimated 13,676 new cervical cancer cases and 7,093 deaths, and approximately 33,000 new breast cancer cases and 17,000 deaths. Experts say advocacies like this and early detection can bring down these numbers.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Central Bank of Nigeria announces plans to grow diaspora reserves to $1 billion next year. That's in business news. Let's join us again. Welcome back and still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. And over now to Kaduna State, where Governor Obasani has reaffirmed his administration's commitment to ensuring that no community is left behind in its rural and urban transformation agenda. The governor emphasized that his government is focused on delivering inclusive development through road construction and other socio-economic programs. He made the declaration while flagging off a series of road projects in Kaduna local government area of the state.
Makarfi, the hometown of former Kaduna State Governor Senator Ahmed Makarfi, is a farming community and one of the state's leading producers of maize, tomatoes, sugarcane, and soybeans.
Oh, I like this glass.
But for the past 10 years, Makarfi has been among the 12 local government areas in Kaduna State that did not benefit from completed road projects. That changes as Governor Obasani arrives in Makarfi to flag off the Durham to Korontumawa Road. Excited residents roll out their drums to welcome the governor and his team. The presentation of sugarcane and maize to the governor reflects the people's joy over the project.
We have been waiting for this opportunity for the past 30 years. The government before you, Governor El-Rufai, did not give us even a block in Makarfi, but under your leadership, schools and hospitals have been renovated, roads are being constructed, and peace has returned. We are especially grateful for the training medical center here in Makarfi.
In his remarks, Governor Sani laments that 12 local governments in Kaduna were sidelined in road and infrastructure projects by past administrations. He promises to correct the imbalance by ensuring that all 23 local governments benefit under his administration.
We realize that there are about 12 local governments. Kaduna is one of the local governments that have not witnessed 1 kilometer road in the last 12 years. For me, it's unfortunate, it's unacceptable. Kaduna is not only Kaduna town. Kaduna is about the 23 local governments that form Kaduna State. Today we're in Kaduna local government and we are trying to address that problem. Just like Kaduna local government, in the last 2 years, we have taken development to all the 23 local governments of Kaduna State.
After a speech, Governor Sani cuts the tape and switches on a bulldozer, officially launching the road construction. From Makarfi, the governor moves to neighboring Kudan local government to perform the groundbreaking for the reconstruction of Hunkuyi Junction, Unguwan-Rimi-Basawa Junction Road, which links Kudan to Sabongeri local government. The road is part of his administration's broader infrastructure renewal agenda, aimed at opening up rural communities, making movement of goods and services easier, and boosting economic activities.
We're taking road infrastructure to every local government because we believe we must connect our farms with our markets if we really want to address the issue of economic prosperity of our people.
Since assuming office, Governor Obasani's administration has awarded more than 89 road projects, with 44 completed so far.
Today we are here with His Excellency and for the groundbreaking. So the people of Kudan local government are highly excited. We are happy, and inshallah during 2027 election, the people of Kudan local government will definitely, compensate or reward His Excellency with like more than 80% of the votes of Kudan local government, inshallah.
The governor insists that infrastructure development is not a privilege, but a constitutional responsibility that every government owes its people.
But that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Anne, for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Gloria. And right here in Lagos, the state government has reacted to the protest carried out by residents of Oworoshoki over the demolition exercise. The permanent secretary of the Lagos State Office of Urban Development, Mr. Bola Hoki, says the people had been engaged over the past 2 years concerning the issue on ground and that the structures do not have planning permit approvals. He also says that all structures that are not fit for habitation, including the ones in Makoko, will not be allowed for the safety of all residents.
A bird's-eye view of what's left in the aftermath of an exercise carried out by the Lagos State government in what it says had to be done, an act which saw residents protesting the action of government. Although relative calm has returned following a protest which crippled vehicle activity on the Oroshiki end of the Third Mainland Bridge, the Lagos State government, through the Office of the Urban Development, has stuck to its position by insisting that the people were carried along through the process in the last 2 years and that several notices of vacation were served to the people as they had no approval documents.
Most of those buildings that were pulled down are dilapidated. They are not fit for habitation. And we are now in the state that we are talking about all properties in Lagos State must have certificate of fitness for habitation. And we've been telling them that they should go ahead and get planning permits. And most of them turn deaf ear to the government.
Lending his voice to the issue is the State Commissioner of Police, who says the structures are old shanties defacing the water shoreline.
Going forward, we want them to channel their grievances through the appropriate quarters and not to go into actions like that because the police will not allow them to do so in Lagos State.
According to the government's representative, a similar scenario is also likely to play out in Makoko, a riverine community taken over by people who have extended their shelters towards high-voltage transmission power lines. Previously, some community leaders appeared to align with the government's decision to reclaim the necessary setback.
You came on the 20th of September to Makoko to tell us and give us the ultimatum of 3 months, which was 20th of December. But up to date, they are insulting us, they sue us to court, and now it is time, and we are going to work together with you.
The life of people living in that environment is more important, and we are going to do this.
The Lagos State government says there is no going back on planning approvals for all structures across the metropolis, other than that dilapidated buildings would also not be ignored, and anyone who fails to adhere to environmental and fiscal planning regulations will not be spared.
And let's find out what the CBN plans to do concerning diaspora reserves and more stories from the world of business. Over to you, Dominic.
Thank you. And on business news, as part of its strategy to strengthen the foreign exchange market and boost external reserves, the central bank says it targets to grow the country's diaspora reserve to $1 billion by next year. The CBN governor, Mr. Olaimi Cardoso, made this known today at a conference organized by the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria in Abuja, and says the success will depend on the active participation of deposit money banks and their continued collaboration with the financial market regulator. Mr. Cardoso disclosed that the diaspora reserve currently stands at $600 million and adds that the CBN has already developed the framework and put in place the necessary mechanisms to achieve the target within the next 2 years. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, has clarified issues surrounding the new tax laws that have raised concerns across the country. Speaking on our breakfast program, Morning Brief, Mr. Oyedele explained that the tax reforms are designed to benefit all Nigerians, particularly the low and middle income earners, as well as small businesses. He clarified that the federal government has gazetted the new tax reform laws and is set to begin its implementation on January 1st of next year.
On personal income tax, for example, you're exempted from paying personal income tax from January if you earn anything around 100,000 naira per month or less, which is even more than minimum wage. If you're a middle-class person who earns something around 1.8, 1.9 million or less, you'll see a reduction in the taxes you pay. And then for high-income earners and high-net-worth individuals, you see marginal increases in the amount you pay depending on the size of your income. Before, the exemption threshold was 25 million. So what we now have under this new tax law is up to 100 million. So you make up to 100 million naira a year. You don't even need to pay corporate income tax. It's 0%.
Foreign portfolio inflow on the stock market has increased by 354.4% to 609.73 billion naira in 7 months this year. This finding is according to the domestic and foreign transactions report released by the Nigerian Exchange Limited, NGX, as foreign outflow increased by 382.2% to 671.56 billion naira within the period. Further highlights of the report shows that the total foreign flows, that inflow and outflow, increased by 369.2% to 1.281 trillion naira, while total transactions on the domestic bourse increased significantly by 240.8% to 6.008 trillion naira within the period. And still talking about the domestic stock market, it recorded another gain today, adding about 254 billion naira to its total value as investors extend bargain hunting for some high-value equities. Ladi Williams tells us more.
Well, this trading week is shaping up to be a bullish one, with the market closing in the green again, just like yesterday. Let's get a check on the sectoral performance now. We see the banking counter up 0.43%, with the likes of Zenith Bank, Access Core adding to their share price. Consumer goods for the good, 0.28%. PZ Cousins closing up about 2%, and the likes of Champion Breweries. But we have a negative close there for the oil and gas counter, just a margin of 5 basis points. Well, today the all share index advanced 0.29%. Investors gained about 200 billion naira, and 35 stocks gained.
And that's it on Business News. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. And still to come on the news at 10, Hamas says its leaders survived Israeli strikes in Doha, Qatar, but confirms deaths of senior members. That's on the foreign scene. Please join us again.
My morning now when they break, me I know they shake, no matter the condition. I fit no carry first, but I know they carry last. Oba no they go transfer. Today now my day, and I go day okay. Cause hope full my chest, like bulletproof vest. Today now my day, and I go day okay. Until it reach my turn, the fire go the burn. Naija go sweet oh. The fire go the burn no burn.
This message is from Hope Alive Initiative, a group that is committed to the well-being of the citizenry through advocacy for good governance and progressive ideals. Hope Alive Initiative, for the greater good of all. New Commodore Aromatic Schnapps is a beauty to behold, a true representation of today's man. Behind every success story is a spirit of blessings, and that comes with a new look Commodore Aromatic Schnapps. When great things happen, we gather with the spirit of answered prayers and dedicate our very own as we pray for their endeavors. Ashe. Made from distinctive quality ingredients by Intercontinental Distillers Limited. Commodore Aromatic Schnapps, the spirit of answered prayers. Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need am.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Na money point oh.
Money point, thank you.
Customer, na transfer abi? Confirm.
Bro, na transfer. Na money point oh, that. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land at Sure Banker. Progress na small win where the carry person go far.
No worry, yourself go make am. Mogo Bible.
Victor, even you, they use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
Welcome back. And outside our shores, Palestinians say there is no place left as the Israeli military orders all residents of Gaza City to evacuate immediately. After a night of airstrikes, leaflets rained down over the city showing a map and instructions to leave. And the IDF's Arabic spokesperson told as many as 1 million people to evacuate southwards. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Democrats in Congress have released a note allegedly signed by US President Donald Trump and sent to Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday in 2003. Lawyers for Epstein's estate sent documents to the House Oversight Committee after they were subpoenaed last month. Democratic members of the committee posted a copy of the alleged letter, which features a drawing of a woman's body on X. The president filed a lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal's reporters, publisher and executives, including News Corp's owner Rupert Murdoch, seeking $10 billion in damages. The Israeli military has ordered all residents of Gaza City to evacuate immediately, saying it plans to operate in the area with great force. In a social media post, an IDF Arabic language spokesman urges those present in all its neighborhoods to relocate to a humanitarian zone. But the UN says nowhere in Gaza can be considered as safe. It comes after Israel's Security Cabinet last month approved a plan to take control of the city where hundreds of thousands of Palestinians reside. The Global Summit Flotilla says a drone has struck its main ship, the Family Boat, in Tunisia, causing a fire. It says all passengers and crew are safe, but the Tunisian National Guard says no drone was detected near the ship. The Family Boat is among dozens preparing to travel to Gaza to break the Israeli blockade on the Palestinian enclave, where a famine has been declared. A number of prominent politicians and activists are participating in the flotilla, including climate campaigner Greta Thunberg and the former mayor of Barcelona.
The main flotilla boat, the Family, has been attacked by a drone. Of course, it will have to be verified. But there is a history of attacks on the flotilla. There are current statements against the flotilla, threatening the flotilla, of course, from Israel, but there is no other state currently protecting this boat other than Tunisia creating a safe port.
Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has resigned as anti-corruption protests escalate in the Himalayan country. Earlier, protesters set fire to the home of the ex-Prime Minister and vandalised the homes of several leaders. At least 2 people have died so far today in the unrest. It comes a day after the government lifted a controversial social media ban on 26 platforms, including Facebook and YouTube. The ban had led to protests and clashes with police that left 19 people dead. The protests have been escalating despite several districts around the capital Kathmandu being under curfew. Police have released the first images of what they believe is one of many campsites where a New Zealand father on the run hid with his 3 children for years. 2 of Tom Phillips's children were found at the site in the Waikato region on Monday, hours after he was killed in a shootout with police. Police found them with the help of the 3rd child, who was with Phillips when he died. They said the children are doing well, but will take time to recover from the ordeal. A years-long succession battle with Rupert Murdoch's conservative media empire has drawn to a close, with his son Lachlan set to control the news group. The deal will ensure the ongoing conservative-leaning Fox News, The Wall Street Journal and The New York Post, even after the 94-year-old Rupert's death. Under the agreement, Lachlan will control a new trust while siblings Prue MacLeod, Elizabeth Murdoch and James Murdoch will cease being beneficiaries of any trust with shares in Fox or News Corp. It follows years of tension between the media mogul and 3 of his children. And sky watchers across the globe have witnessed a total lunar eclipse, which turns the full moon red. As the moon passed through the Earth's shadow, it took a deep red hue, creating a striking so-called blood moon. It takes place when the Earth is directly between the sun and the moon, blocking sunlight and casting a shadow across the moon's surface, as though every sunrise and sunset on Earth is being cast upon the lunar surface. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. British-Nigerian light heavyweight boxer Dan Aziz is excited about his debut fight in Lagos, Nigeria on October the 1st. Super Dan, the headliner of the boxing event dubbed Chaos in the Ring, told Channel Sport that he is in fine shape and hopes to use his skills to inspire young talents in the country.
This takes priority. Fighting back home in Nigeria on one of the biggest shows to ever, touch the land. It's no way I couldn't do it. This is about legacy. It's about the impact. How you're going to inspire the next generation coming up. So yeah, I'm so excited. I'm giving to the fans, chaos. Do you know what I mean? That title's so befitting for my style of fighting. Yeah. And to be honest, I'm just, Nigeria were very, how can I explain it? It's we carry everything with pride. Do you know what I mean? So I'm happy to come out there and, just show my talent, show what I'm made of. Come back home and just show, hey, look, your boy's back. I'm back home and I'm here to put on a show. So.
Well, Super Eagles' hopes of playing at the 2026 FIFA World Cup that will be hosted by Canada, Mexico, and the United States is hanging on a tiny thread as the 3-time African champions failed to pick maximum point away to South Africa in Bloemfontein. Bafana took the lead courtesy of an own goal by Williams Truss-Ekong, only for the Super Eagles to level through Kevin Bassey before half-time. With 2 matches left to play in the group, Nigeria are 6 points behind South Africa, who are topping Group C with 17 points, while the Super Eagles are on 11 points. Earlier, Rwanda edged Zimbabwe 1-0 and are also on 11 points. Nigeria, Benin, Rwanda could yet reach the African playoffs as one of the 4 best second-place sides, with one nation then progressing to a final intercontinental qualifier. And Nottingham Forest have appointed Angel Postecoglou as manager to replace the sacked Nuno Espirito de Santo until 2027. Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis says Postecoglou, who was dismissed by Tottenham in June despite winning the Europa League, has a proven and consistent record of winning trophies. His first game in charge is away at Arsenal on Saturday. Bad Sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. NUPENG today suspended its nationwide strike against Dangote refinery after talks with government representatives. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Nwawodo. Good night and please stay safe.